How you doing, guys? Back for another fight card. This is coming the 16th of November from Las Vegas, Nevada. UFC 167, where Georges St Pierre defends his UFC welterweight crown yet again against the number one contender, Johny Hendricks, which is sure to be a really good fight. A lot of people kind of picking Hendricks for the upset here. It's the UFC's 20th anniversary card, so it's a big deal for the UFC, this. So we're just going to go straight into it. Tomorrow night I'll put out that UFC Fight Night 32 with Vitor Belfort going against Dan Henderson, so make sure you check out that card with some great fights on there. Mutante versus Serafin, and Santiago Ponzinibbio makes his UFC debut, which will be really good because he's a great fighter. And we've got Brandon Thatcher on there as well, who looked impressive last time out. So we're going to start the first fight of the night in the UFC light heavyweight division. We've got Gian Villante against Cody Donovan. Ironically enough, both these guys are coming off a loss to the same guy in Ovince St Preux. Villante, he fights alongside Chris Weidman at the Serra-Longo camp. He fought in Strikeforce, had 3 wins in there against not really good opposition. Come in against St Preux, wasn't a great fight when he fought UFC 159. He didn't look great, and St Preux got the win. He got poked in the eye, did Villante, but St Preux won on the cards. Cody Donovan, see his third fight in the UFC. He knocked out Nick Penn in a fight of the night away back in Australia last year in December, before losing and getting knocked out by Ovince St Preux away back at the UFC Fight Night Shogun versus Sonnen. My pick for this fight, a really tough fight to pick. I'm going to go Cody Donovan. I don't really know much about the guys, but I'm going to go Cody Donovan by decision. Next up is a fight I'm really looking forward to, what I was really looking forward to before Von Lee fell out of this fight. We've got Will Campuzano, who's replacing Von Lee, against Sergio the Phenom Pettis. You'll probably recognise that second name. Sergio Pettis is the younger brother of the UFC lightweight champion in Anthony Showtime Pettis. Sergio Pettis is 9-0, a really good fighter everywhere, just like his brother, to be honest. He was the RFA flyweight champion, and he won a bantamweight title in some of the regional promotions out there before getting the call up here at UFC 167. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm a big Sergio Pettis fan. He's going to go a long way. I thought he'd be fighting at flyweight first of all. Was kind of surprised when he was fighting at bantamweight. But either way, I'm very happy to see him in the UFC. Will Campuzano, I think it's his second stint in the UFC here, and he lost his other fights. He fought on the WEC as well. His 2 losses in the UFC were to Chris Carriasso and Nick Pace away back at 2010, 2011. Before that, he lost to Eddie Wineland, Damasio Page. So he's lost to a few good fighters, Wineland and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Sergio Pettis here, and I think he will get the win by submission in the second round. Next up, we've got Jason High against Anthony Lapsley. Anthony Lapsley, don't know much about him, never heard him. Saw a couple of his fights on YouTube. Nothing great. A lot of wins by submission, 15 wins. He's against Jason High, who's coming off a really nice submission over James Head last time out. Interesting side note to this, Anthony Lapsley has been knocking out kids left, right and centre. He's got 8 children, so the man's at it, fair play. But I'm going to go Jason High here by submission in the first round. Next up, the first fight on the Fox Sports 1 card, we have Erik Perez against Edwin Figueroa. Excited to see Perez again, see if he's made any adjustments after his loss to Takeya Misagakia, which I think will be good for him. It'll maybe slow him down a little bit and make him train a little bit harder, and maybe try and be a bit crisper with his striking. He likes to kind of throw a lot of wild shots, and he didn't really look good against Misagaki's crisper counter punching attack. Edwin Figueroa, I think he's lost his last 2 fights. Pretty exciting fighter to watch. He had a war with Michael Macdonald a couple of years back, which was a great fight, and he's lost his last 2 fights. He got knocked out by Francisco Rivera, and he lost a decision to Ronald Delorme at UFC 161. earlier on in the year. Before that, he had wins over Alex Caceres and Jason Reinhardt. Really, this is another tough fight to pick, I think. I don't think Perez is as big a favourite as people are putting him at, but I'm going to go Erik Perez. I think it's going to be a really tough fight for him. I think he's going to win by decision. Next up, we've got Brian Ebersole against Rick Story. I've always been a huge fan of Rick Story. I don't know why. I think he's a very relentless fighter, and he comes after you and he gives you everything he's got. I like fighters like that. And he's against a veteran of the sport, against Brian Ebersole. He's probably got about 65 fights in MMA, and he's fought some good fighters, Hector Lombard in the day, and some UFC fighters we have now, and Dylan Andrews and stuff. So he's fought good fighters. He was on a 4-fight winning streak. We haven't seen him about a year and a half. When he lost to James Head, UFC 149. So we haven't seen him about a year and a half. So be interested to see what he's been up to, if he's improved any. As I say, he had 4 wins in a row before that over TJ Wahlberger, Claude Patrick, and Dennis Hallman, and Chris Lytle. Rick Story, he's been kind of winning and losing. He lost last time out to Mike Pyle, which I think he should have won. A very, very good wrestler. He can strike. He comes out. He's got a lot of power. He's beat some great guys in this division, but he's also lost to some of the best guys in the division. Tough fight, very tough fight to pick a winner here, but I'm going to go Rick Story by decision. Next up, Ed Herman versus Thales Leites. Thales Leites, he came back to the UFC after being away for a long time. I think he's reeled off a couple of wins, just the one win, over Tong Kong Watson at UFC 163. And he's against Ed Herman here, who's probably his best facet of his game is jiu-jitsu, where Thales Leites is a beast at. So I'm not too sure this is a good fight for him. He beat Trevor Smith last time out via a split. Before that, he lost to Jacare when he went over to Strikeforce as well. I like Thales Leites here, and I think he will win by decision. Next up, we've got Donald Cerrone against Evan Dunham. This is a great fight. This got fight of the night written all over it, I think. Cerrone, he says he's going to go down to the featherweight division after this fight. Evan Dunham, he's always an exciting fighter. He has been. I've watched him live a couple of times, and he's always put on exciting fights. He's coming off a loss to Rafael dos Anjos earlier back in May this year. Before that, he beat Gleison Tibau by decision. Lost to TJ Grant, beat Nick Lentz. So he's beat some great fighters in there. And he's always an exciting fighter to watch, as is Donald Cowboy Cerrone, who is one of the best in the lightweight division. Always can run about the top 10, fights all the big guys. Never really beat them. He lost last time out to Rafael dos Anjos. Really didn't look good. He didn't really look good the fight before that either, against KJ Nunes. His last 3 fights, he just hasn't really looked himself. So maybe the cut down to 145 might be good for him. I think he wins this fight. May get a late stoppage or even a submission, but I think he's going to win by unanimous decision. On to the main card, we've got the flyweights kicking it off. We've got Tim Elliott against Ali Bagautinov. Bagautinov pretty much shut the Brazilians up when he fought down there not so long ago, when he knocked out Marcos Vinicius. A very exciting fight up to that point. He's thrown some big shots. He goes for everything. One of these Sambo guys who's he's just very, very talented everywhere. He's a great grappler, got some power in his hands. But he's against Tim Elliott here, who's coming off a couple of wins over Jared Papazian and Luis Gaudino, which was a pretty good fight. He looked very, very impressive in that fight, to be fair. And he's only lost, I think, in the UFC is to John Dodson, who is probably the number 2 guy in that division. He's in the top 3 guys in that flyweight division. Very tough fight to pick here. For some reason, I'm leaning towards Bagautinov, but I think I'm going to go Tim Elliott by decision. Next up, we've got Josh Koscheck against Tyron Woodley. Koscheck, he's been fairly quiet recently. He's lost his last couple of fights. He got beat by Robbie Lawler last time out. This is a big fight. I think he's lost his last 2. He's lost 3 out of his last 5. So, all to good opponents. I may add Johny Hendricks, which, to be fair, he might even win that fight against Johny Hendricks. He beat Mike Pierce before that, which some people might actually pick Mike Pierce to win that fight. So He's against Tyron Woodley here, who's coming off a loss to Jake Shields last time out, which I actually think he should have won that fight. Before that, he knocked out Cerrone, and see, this guy's a top fighter. Not his biggest fan when he's outside the octagon. He talks some shit on Twitter and stuff. Never been a big fan really, but his skills in the cage are very, very good. He's beat some great fighters, Jordan Mayen, Paul Daly, Tariq Safadine. So you're beating the kind of fighters. You can fight, and you can be right up the top of the division in the UFC. I like Tyron Woodley in this fight. I think he's just a little bit better, a little bit more athletic than Josh Koscheck, and I think he'll win by decision. Next up, we've got Rory Macdonald against Robbie Lawler. How fucking good has Robbie Lawler looked since he came back to the UFC? He looks a beast. He looks like he's in the weight division he should have been in a long time ago. This guy, Robbie Lawler, he's been around for years, 13 years I think it is. I think he fought in the UFC in 2001, when Rory Macdonald was probably not even in his teens yet. He wasn't even 10 years old, he's probably in single figure digits for his age. He's come back to the UFC, he knocked out Josh Koscheck, he stuffed the takedowns of Josh Koscheck, then knocked him out. Then last time out, head kick knockout and punches against Bobby Volker. But he's got a really tough fight here. He's a veteran of the sport. He's fought some great guys. He beat Amagov, and he went all the way back. He had a great fight with Nick Diaz way back in the day in the UFC. A top fighter to watch. One of the best to watch, to be honest with you. And he's against Rory Macdonald here, who, when he came into the UFC, was very exciting. He lost to Carlos Condit in a great fight, UFC 115. But since then, he's looked impressive, I must admit. You can see the guy's got skills. Wins over BJ Penn, Jake Ellenberger in a stinker of a fight. I just think he's too well rounded for Robbie Lawler. Would love to see Robbie Lawler knock him out. But I think Rory Macdonald's going to use the jab, stay low with that low stance he has, just knock off the jab and kind of clinch, and then hopefully take Robbie Lawler down and get a decision victory. So maybe a late submission as well. So I'll maybe go Rory Macdonald, a third round submission. The co-main event of the night is Rashad Evans against Chael Sonnen. I like the fight, and I think the way Rashad Evans has kind of looked the last few fights, Chael Sonnen has a pretty decent chance here, until I was at the weigh-ins for UFC Manchester, when he says that for every opponent that he has, he phones up Dan Henderson and gives him a call and asks if he can win this fight. And Dan Henderson says, for every other fight he said, yeah, you can win this fight. For this one, he's like, I'm not too sure. So that's not really a great mindset to be going into this fight. Chael Sonnen's a great guy. He goes and fights the best. He doesn't back down from anybody, and you got to respect fighters like that. Rashad Evans coming off a win over is it Dan Henderson last time out, UFC 161. Didn't really look great. Didn't look great before that. He looked horrible against Little Nog. Lost to John Jones before that. So this is a big fight for Sugar Rashad Evans. Again, want Chael Sonnen to win this fight. Don't think he will. Rashad Evans all day by decision. And then we've got the main event of tonight. We've got Georges St Pierre against Johny Hendricks. Very, very interesting fight, whichever way you look at this. St Pierre is a legend of the sport, no doubt about it. He's made a lot of defences of his title. He's fought the best guys in his division. So you go all the way back. Look at listen to this list. Josh Koscheck. We have Matt Hughes, who he fought a couple of times. Matt Serra, John Fitch, BJ Penn, Thiago Alves, Dan Hardy, Koscheck again, Jake Shields, Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz. I mean, he's fought the best in that division, beat them. Not really had that much trouble against them. A top MMA artist, no doubt about it. A great wrestler, very, very sound on his feet, and he's got the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to submit opponents. But if there's anybody that's going to beat Georges St Pierre, I think it's this guy, Johny Hendricks. Very explosive striker with a huge punch. He covers distances really, really quickly, and it can be on you within a little time at all. On top of that, he's a top class wrestler who might just stuff the takedowns of GSP. I can't see it personally. it's a tough fight. I think if he wants to win this fight, he's got to catch St Pierre early on. Don't really know if he will. A lot of people picking Hendricks. I did at the start. The closer I'm getting to the event, I'm picking St Pierre. I think he doesn't finish his fights. He doesn't finish fights. He hasn't done in a long time. I can't see it here either. So I think he's going to win the fight by unanimous decision. But in no way whatsoever would it surprise me if Johny Hendricks beat Georges St Pierre by knockout. So that's my picks for UFC 167. If you think Georges St Pierre is going to win this fight, like this video. If you think Johny Hendricks is going to win this fight, give me a thumbs down. So this is the fight card for next week, November 16th. Tell me your picks. Come follow me on Twitter, BigBulber7MMA. Always love to speak fights on there. Enjoy the fights. I know I will. I think I'll be back November 30th or the week before November 30th for the Ultimate Fighter finale. Enjoy the fights. Take care. Peace.